You may ask, what is this sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid? For one, sodium hydroxide is a very corrosive base and hydrochloric acid is a highly reactive acid. So enough talking and let's get started. The things you will need for this build are 1 bottle of salt water, a power supply that can supply from around 7 watt to 12 watt. I'm using a low watt 2 ampere power supply. The high value you get the better result. And a mechanism like this, an arrangement like this to do the alcohol. It's a simple arrangement consists of two beakers, two containers. It's actually one bottle that I cut from. And a PVC pipe is consists of two. And I place the sponge inside this pipe. There's small sponge like this now. And also two cafe rods are attached in the bottom, which I have soldered two wires on. And I have seen everything complete work. I put a sponge inside here so that I can go here and sodium hydroxide. And also reaction I'm going to put hot water in both, and I'm going to produce sodium hydroxide in one chamber and the hydrochloric acid in the other, and I don't want them, so I have used one piece of stone to prevent them from mixing. That's all for the construction, and now let's start making sodium hydroxide. For that, first we have to pour salt water, and I am going to pour the salt water. Oh, here, one thing more, I am going to simply use this thermocol piece so that I can place this inside there and it will stay upright. You don't have to use this, you can just slide it on a wall or something, or you would just and then somewhere so that it will stay upright. You're going to pour the salt water here. So that's level. And you could also see that the salt water is not going to that side. That is also going to doing its job. So I'm going to put salt water over here. And something that is simple kitchen salt that I have dissolved in tap water. Nothing special. I'm going to place it in this temporary, and I am going to connect these two wires which come from his end to the power. As you could now see, I have connected these two wires to the power supply, and also I have set up this in the thermocol so that it will stay correctly. And now the solutions are almost clear, and this one is just the color of the container, that is yellow. The color of the solution will change progresses. Now let me connect and turn on the power. Now as soon as I turn the power on, you could see bubbling happening in these two containers. This one with more bubbling, this is hydrogen gas being evolved and sodium hydroxide being produced. And here chlorine gas is evolving and hydrochloric acid will be produced in this container. Sorry for the shaking hand. I don't have any practice doing this, like holding the camera in hand and talking at the same time. So forgive me for that. So getting back the point, the one another way you could identify where sodium hydroxide and where hydrochloric acid is being formed at the negative terminal, that is the terminal that you connected to the negative of the battery will form hydrogen gas and also sodium hydroxide, that is this one where the more bubbling is happening, and the positive will produce chlorine and there will be only less bubbling there. And you could also identify both gases with their smell. Chlorine has a very pungent smell, whereas hydrogen has no smell at all. And you could also light a match and hold it on top of the hydrogen container and it will burn with a popping sound. That also confirms the presence of hydrogen. And so I am going to just let it run overnight, and I am going to just show you the end results. I have already done this one time and I have got the yield, and I will show you what you could expect. Okay, now I have let the electrolysis run overnight and obtained the products. I have already boiled down the sodium hydroxide and made it crystallize. And as you can see, these are the small crystals of sodium hydroxide. It's probably not a good idea to handle them with your bare hand. My hands are already gone. No problem there. And then this is the hydrochloric acid that I got about this much of hydrochloric acid. This is in fact mildly reactive hydrochloric acid. This is not actually really concentrated. I have just let it run over one night, and if I let it go for more, the concentration will increase. And I could also bubble the evolved the chlorine gas through some cold water to increase my yield, but I think this is enough. As you can see, when I shake it, it forms up this that is actually some good quality hydrochloric acid. And this is the leftover sodium hydroxide solution. I did not crystallize all of it, I just left some alone. This is the sodium hydroxide solution. It's a bit hard to see with the white background, but actually this is a cloudy white solution. This is the actual color of sodium hydroxide. It is a cloudy white solution, and you could also form it by dropping some sodium hydroxide crystals in water. That also it will make a probably violent reaction and produce some sodium hydroxide. And with that, that's all for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, please like the video, and for more videos like this, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.